Now, over 24 Palestinians have been injured when Israeli forces opened fire at a pro-Gaza protest in the occupied West Bank. This happened at a large demonstration in the city of Hebron, also known as Al-Khalil. The protesters voiced their anger at Tel Aviv's continued killing of women and children in Gaza. Israeli forces then clashed with the demonstrators, injuring at least 25 of them. Meanwhile, a similar protest was held in the occupied Jerusalem Al-Quds. Palestinians gathered outside the Dome of Rock at the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, shouting slogans against Tel Aviv's killing campaign in Gaza. Joining us from Ramallah via Skype is our correspondent Nell Burden. Now, Nell, it seems anger is boiling over in the West Bank, in the occupied territories. Tell us a bit more.
Well, there was actually a real mix of both jubilance and anger today. Many Palestinians, once they heard the news that one Israeli soldier had been taken by the Al-Qassam brigades, suddenly the entire scene in Ramallah lit up. There were fireworks, people came out en masse, they were handing out sweets inside of the refugee camps around Kalandia. This is just from where I was standing. So there was a sense that there's a small light in 13 days essentially of just sheer tragedy, and they felt as though this is really given them some hope essentially. After the Gilad Shalit deal in 2011, he was actually swapped for 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. So not only do they feel as though this may be a bargaining chip, but it's also just a show of resistance and a show of strength against one of the largest, strongest, the world's strongest armies. This is coming from a country that barely has any resources for people to even exist or have any way of life or freedom. So it began with real jubilance after so many days of sadness. However, the Israelis immediately responded in the center of Hebron, otherwise known as Al-Khalil. There was a mass demonstration, but at the same time people were celebrating, and the Israeli soldiers began indiscriminately shooting live bullets into the crowd. So we've had scores of people injured and being taken to hospital. Once again, the Israelis are panicking. When it comes to these big demonstrations, they won't allow people to have their voice even in the areas, and they shoot them down with as much brutal force as possible. But that didn't stop the people. These celebrations went on throughout Hebron, in Al Arub refugee camp, in Bethlehem. The streets were absolutely crowded full of people celebrating a small victory, as was the centre of Ramallah. Al-Manara Square was absolutely full of people. There were fireworks throughout the night and stretched all the way to Nablus and Jenin. So not only is this a small victory, but it just goes to show the brutal force that the Israeli soldiers are still using against peaceful demonstrations.
Indeed. Our correspondent Nell Burden, they're reporting from Ramallah via Skype. Now, thank you very much for that update there.